So we have our item and it spins, but we need to do some changes to this. Right now it's spinning at a frame dependent rate, which means that based on the number of frames that are running, that's how fast it will move. And that's not really what we want to do. So we want this to be frame independent. And to do that, we just have to use this DeltaTime. We have our rate of spin, which is 5 along Z. We just have to multiply this by DeltaTime. And that's it. It'll now spin at a consistent speed regardless of the frame rate that you're on. So let's open that up. So I will now live compile. There we go. And now it's spin. And it's actually spinning at a slightly different rate. Well, that's actually kind of what we want to happen anyway. Now, this spin rate is hard coded, which means that we set the value in here and we can't really change without having to go all the way into our code. To do this better, we would probably use a variable. Well, how do we make a variable? Well, in the Unreal docs, we have this C++ and Blueprints doc where it talks about how you would structure a class. And if we look at the .h file, we see this thing where, float, desired intensity. So this is a variable. This is something that can be changed. And it has this UPROPERTY thing above it. Well, what is UPROPERTY? Well, UPROPERTIES are part of the reflection system. It lets us set up specific modifiers for how we handle variables. So we can do things with bit masks and different parameters, different things. Here we have the different property specifiers we can work with. If we look at the previous example, it had this edit anywhere. Let's edit anywhere. Indicates that this property can be edited by property windows on archetypes or instances. Okay, so this means that we can edit it in Blueprint. Cool. So in fact, let's go ahead and just copy this. So I'll have the link in the video, but I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it inside of item.h. I'll put it down here at the bottom. So we have edit anywhere, blueprint read write. Okay, so this means it's going to expose it to the blueprint system so we can edit our blueprint. Then category. Well, it's category. We'll specify the category of the property when displayed in the blueprint editing tools. Cool. So this is going to show up as switch variables, and I'm going to change this to be rotation speed. And for the variable name itself, which here we have our data type float. Now we have the name. Let's change this to rotation Z. Now we can assign a value here, default value, which go ahead and do that to, let's set it to equal to 5.0f by default. Now to use that, all we have to do is go into CPP and change this hard-coded value here to rotation Z. We save that. We're now using this variable in our rotation, and it's set up in a way that we can actually edit it in Unreal without having to recompile. Though we do have to compile the first time. So let's go ahead and compile it. All right, we'll close that. And then I'll go to my blueprint for my item, open that up. There we go, rotation speed, rotation Z. So the variable actually pops up for us with that value. And if I go and press play, it's now spinning really slowly, but it's spinning. Let's say I want it to go faster. I can go to the blueprint. I can change the rotation Z to, let's say, 25. Compile here and save. And press play. Now it is now spinning faster. Notice to change that value, I didn't have to go back into my code and change it here. I can change it just within my blueprint and the effect will take place. This is because we created a blueprint that was on top of our C++ class, and we inherit all the parts and the default values of our C++ class. However, we don't have to stick to the exact values. We can change them in blueprint and do that a lot quicker. So big plus there. So in order to make it spin along Z, we did an F rotator, which again takes in the pitch, yaw, and roll in Y, Z, X form. Your challenge for you is to set up variables just like this for rotation X and rotation Y. I'll give you a minute to do that, and then I'll show you the answer for how to do that right afterwards. All right, so in order to make new variables, I'm just going to copy and paste. So we have this UPROPERTY, right? This goes above every variable because this makes it so that variable can be used under these settings. Add this first one, rotation. Let's change this one to X, change this one to Y, and then we have rotation Z. Save that. Now go to our body, our source page, and then I'm going to change this to be rotation Y times delta time, because that's what the structure for it. Y first, then Z, and then X after. So I'm actually going to save some time and copy paste. Now by default, the values are all 5. I'm going to set the values for all of them by default to 0, just because I want to be able to determine how I rotate it in the actual engine. Go and compile. And if I look at my blueprint, I now have rotation X, Y, and Z. And I can reset the value of that to Z, and then now it won't spin at all. But I can change it to rotate around X to 50. Okay. File and save. And now this object is spinning. In fact, this is done in such a way where I'm going to reset this back to 0, the default blueprint, file and save. And I'm going to drag in 2 more boxes in. I'm going to make this box here, which I just randomly picked. I'll have this one spin around X at 50. Now, the other 2 boxes aren't going to spin. When we edit them here, we're editing this instance of this blueprint. When we edit here, we edit the actual class itself, so where everything comes from. But here we can pick a object and give it its settings without having to worry about changing other things. I'll make this one spin around Z, and this one spin around Y, just randomly picking. There we go. We now have 3 cubes that are rotating in different directions. All right, so that's going to be it for this video. You're going to need to possibly upload proof that you're able to get this far, and then that's going to be it. Make sure, again, after every video, file, save all, and go to GitHub and write in your comment. So finished video, whatever video this is, I think it's video 5, commit, and push.